I'm Wednesday 13, and I'm me, and I got a brand new record coming out April 25th called Mid-Death Crisis, and I'm here to talk about it and answer all the questions you have about me and what the future holds.
Fantastic. Wednesday, thanks for joining us on Tuesday.
Yes, that's always odd to do that. Every time I'm on stage, I'm battling a calendar constantly. So, story of my life.
So as you say, bro, we're here to talk about your 10th studio album, Mid-Death Crisis, which comes out on April 25th. So how you feeling, mate? You confident?
Very, very confident. And that's an unusual feeling to have in quite some time because my last few albums I put out, I was confident in the music. Wasn't confident, or I didn't know if the audience was going to like it as much as I liked it. And when I was experimenting from like the Condolences record, Necrophase, all those records, I look back now in my career, those are the experimental records now because I did some different things with it. And those were ones I took some chances and I wasn't sure if the audience would like them, but they did. But this is the one record where I feel pretty confident that they're going to like it. Like I know I hit all the bases with what I was trying to go for. Like, and I fulfilled myself on it. So I know I did that. And I feel confident with the fans we're going to love it.
No, so the press release calls it a return to his hard rock roots. Would you agree?
I think so. I mean, considering, like I just explained, from the 2016, 2017 era of the band, we were definitely playing heavier music, and it was a lot of fun to experiment with that. But after COVID and everything, I had a little time to look back on my career. 20 years of doing Wednesday 13, and I just kind of looked at the whole career and went, well, what do you like best of all this? I did all this shit too. I got it. My fans got their version of what they like the best. And I went, well, what do I like the best? And I started looking at it all and I went, well, where I started was the most honest and real place for me. And that seemed natural. And I kind of went back to that look and I went back to that sound, and it was easy to do without trying, so to speak. And it just felt right. And it's more a hard rock record than it is a metal record. And but again, it's not just like I tried to imitate my first record or anything. It's just it's in the same spirit, and I feel good about it like I did on that first record. I feel like everything is going according to plan.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you, bro, because I reckon I've probably listened to it 4 times since yesterday when I started writing these questions, and there's just something driving and solid about the whole album. But there's a bit of electronics going on in there too, but they blend well together on this one. It's just a really good up-tempo, good vibe album.
It's fun. It's fast. It's like I explained it today. It's like a good roller coaster ride. You get on it, it's super fast. You go down the hill, it spits you out, and you go, all right, I'm gonna do that again. And you listen to it 4 times, and it feels like a live record in a way because the record ends the way I would end a live show. It's not just your typical ending of a song. It's just got and there's even a side two to this record. So if you listen to it in the vinyl form, you hear a side two. You hear it the way I wanted people to hear this record. I thought about it like there is a side two. The side one ends that everything is planned on this record, and I carefully planned it, and I'm happy with it. And again, I think I knocked it out of the park on this, and without doing exactly what I did in the first album, I hit all the bases. I think I touched on everything I've done in my career and summed it up in this record. Because, like you said, there's some electronic kind of almost sounding stuff like with Cease and Desist, like almost kind of has that vibe to it. And then the rest of the record's kind of a hard rock record when you get to Xan Ecstasy and it's just it's everything I wanted to do in a record. It's everything I think represents my sound over the last 20 years.
And you released a single, When the Devil Commands, as the lead single, mate. It's a catchy as fuck stomping tune. Like I could almost hear that on the radio, but why did you choose that song to represent the album?
I didn't necessarily. I mean, that's the first take everyone gets for the record,
Yeah.
so I don't know if it was just. I knew it was a good song. I knew it was catchy. I knew my fans would like it, but I also knew people that didn't know the band could hear that and go, "Who is that? That's catchy as fuck. That's Wednesday 13. That's what they sound like." It just. I think it appealed to a bigger audience, and that's why I went with that as the first single because I knew my fans would like it, but I knew I was somebody else's favorite band. They just didn't know it yet till they heard it. And so the first single was planned that way to get a audience maybe that wouldn't normally listen to me. Whereas the second single, In Misery, is I couldn't have planned it better for the fans. Like it is silver platter delivered, Wednesday 13, graveyard, spookiness. It's great. And it's one of my favorite videos and we've made, and the song itself is just I'm just happy with it. So I'm doing everything the way I want it right now.
Now, I'm sure there's more to the story than this, mate, but did I read correctly that somehow the thought of scaring your mother came into the picture when you wrote the lyrics for When the Devil Commands?
Yes. And it's a fun,
Man.
and it's a fun thing. You know, I love my mom. But I grew up during that satanic panic of the 80s when, you know, the parents were fearing that their kids were listening to demonic music. You played it backwards. And I was, I was part of that. And my mom was checking my cassettes and making sure there was no, demons on it. And I just thought it would be funny if I could, the idea of going back in time and planting a CD for my mom to find. Like if she could look through my Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses and Poison and then go, what is this? And if she would open it up and like if you could have wrote the lyrics out for her where she would understand it perfectly and just terrify her. And that's kind of what those lyrics are. And then I just kind of went with that. Thought that was that because most bands back then that were being accused of it were like,
Yeah.
no, we're not those kind of bands. We don't do that. And I thought it'd be funny to be like, yes, we are singing about that. Yes, we are trying to possess your children. Yes, everything you heard is true. We are the devil. And I just wanted to do that from so to me, it's a fun tongue-in-cheek song. And yeah, that's all I wanted to achieve with that, and mission accomplished.
No, you're right there too, though, bro. Like I remember back when I was at school, I was living with a friend. I was sort of downstairs, and they had the house upstairs. And I got kicked out because I was playing "Number of the Beast" by Iron Maiden, and they could hear it upstairs. And the daughter thought she was being possessed by the
Well,
music,
great.
and I got kicked out the next day for listening to that.
Yeah, and then you realize then is how powerful music is, and I realized
I haven't
then.
looked back
So
since.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that kind of that panic created me. Yeah.
Now, as always, bro, you got great song titles like "Rotting Away," "They're Sick and Violent," even the album title "Mid-Death Crisis." Like, how does your brain work, mate? Like, do those song titles come easy to you, or do you sort of have to think about them and come up with something that cool?
The best ones are the easiest ones. If I put too much thought in it, it just gets away from the whole point. It's meant to be mindless and just off the cuff. I get all this from the Adams family. It's all back in the day. They just always did things like everything was a fun take on a word. You know, like when you go or the old famous monster magazines, they would have all the narration in the magazine. They would use phrases like, "Ooh, next month in this spooky magazine, right around the coroner is," and I'm like, oh, it's like they would take words and stretch it. So I just sort of became fixated on taking words, and I just that became a wordsmith with that kind of morbid twisting words, and that's just been sort of the thing that I think kind of makes me what I am. Wednesday 13 is taking words and just twisting them around, like our song "Cease and Desist" is a take on cease and desist. So it's just it's always fun, and it always starts with a simple thought, and that's usually what keeps it. Like overthinking for me doesn't work.
Nah, definitely. You're one of the few bands or few artists, mate. Like when an album comes in and I got to listen to it, I actually look through the song titles first just to see what they are because I know they're going to be fucking awesome.
Thank you. And then that's always been important to me too. Like when I used to go look for records, I'd be in the record store and I would look at the cover, and that was important. It's something if you flipped it over and if the song titles were as cool as the album cover, you knew you were going to go home and hear something amazing. And I always put myself as the fan doing that same thing. I want them to look at the cover and go, whoa, and then just lose their mind in it. And that's what I did here. And again, I've successfully done it 10 times now with my Wednesday 13.
Yeah, but even the album opener, mate, like there's no such thing as monsters. It's an eerie passage filled with a bit of industrial nuances, and it sets the scene for the whole album. Like it reminds me of a Vincent Price piece. It just sort of sets it right up, and it just gets you on edge.
Yeah. I think after it's all together and you see the imagery and you hear the intro and you listen to it the way I painted the picture for it, it feels like for me when I was in the 80s on the weekends I would go to the video store and I would go and the weekend you'd pick 4 or 5 movies, or if it was the weekend you get 10 movies for the weekend, and that's like 10 songs, 10 movies. It's and went in quick. You watched them as fast as you could. You, oh wow, some of you watched a couple of times, or if you could, and you took them back, and that was it. You couldn't wait till next week and do it again. And it's just like that's what I feel like this record is. It's just it's fun like that. It reminds me of my youth, and I hope that people find some kind of thing with this in their time, you know, where they go, oh man, this, you know, 20 years from now they'll be like, this record reminds me of that. So yeah, it's just it's important to me to paint the whole picture with everything, titles, videos, everything.
Yeah, cool. And you've got Tame Down from Faster Pussycat providing vocals on the track No Apologies, mate. And as far as I know, I hope I'm right in saying this here, but you don't often have guest artists on your album, do you?
Not very often, and that's not because I don't. I just when I make a record, most of the time I'm so involved in it, I don't have the luxury or time to go, oh, let's get this guy on. With this particular thing, Tammy has been a friend of mine for years. We recently toured in Australia, and we were in the studio, and I literally brought that song in, and we were recording it, and I was doing the guitars on it, and our producer Alex said, "This has a Faster Pussycat vibe to it, to me," and I said, "Yeah, I can hear that," and we played the song again and again, and the more we started calling it the Faster Pussycat song. And then he said, "You should get Tammy to sing on this." And I said, "Yeah, that'd be a cool idea." And I just literally texted him and asked him, and he said, "I would love to do it." And he was there in a couple of days, and we tracked it, and the rest is history. It was a great experience for me, and being a big fan of Faster Pussycat as a kid. When I was 11 years old, I had their cassette,
Oh,
and
wow.
when I got my first guitar, I didn't know how to play guitar, and someone gave me a Faster Pussycat tablature book and showed me how to read tablature, and I learned their entire first album, note for note, learned how to play lead guitar from their album, and here you flash forward to me, and now he's singing on my record. So it's an
Yep.
important thing. So it's not just having a guest like my friend. This is as important as having Alice Cooper on my record, because I give Tammy, I credit him for when I saw Faster Pussycat, he was wearing hats like this, and big glasses, and he dyed his hair black, and I was just like, that was the look that I had. And someone showed me a picture the other day of my first band. I was signing it at the meet and greet yesterday, and I'm 16 or 17 in this photo, and I have the same look. I'm like,
Wow.
and it started with me seeing Faster Pussycat, seeing Tammy do that look, because he went from the blonde haired guy, and overnight he was the goth guy, and I was just like, whoa. He went from positive to like negative in that, and I just liked that look, and I copied it when I was in high school, and here I am, 48 years old, still doing it.
That's got to be a special moment for you, bro, recording a song with someone that's got that much meaning to you.
No, it's really cool,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a really really cool thing. And any fan of Faster Pussycat that's liked their music over the years, they're gonna love this song. It is like
Right.
supercharged Faster Pussycat. It's awesome.
Oh, well, there was one more quote I found interesting in the press release, mate, and it said that the album features music entirely written by Wednesday 13. Like, does that mean you wrote all the instruments and the lyrics, or is it just you normally not write the whole thing yourself?
Well, the reason that I think that it said that, maybe it wasn't explained like fully in detail. It wasn't like I got to do this by myself or anything. My very first Wednesday 13 record, when I did that on my own, like I didn't really have a plan. Murderdolls came to a halt. I went in my basement and I just started writing songs. And then I did a Wednesday 13 tour in the UK, just playing my Frankenstein drag queen stuff, and it was packed. And I had a lot of fans, and I went, I could maybe go solo, and I just did it. It just wasn't, it just started piecing it together. I didn't have a band. I wrote the music. I did the recording. I had a drummer come in, do the drums, and I played every instrument on that first album. I played bass, I played lead guitar, rhythm guitar, vocals, everything on that record. I did it by myself, and when I was done with it, so proud of it. I look back on it 20 years later, and like that's the one I put on the top of the mountain. So when it came time to write this record, this was the first album I have done without my longtime guitarist Vermont, who's been in the band for years and years. And I went, well, can I still do this? I did it 20 years ago on my own. Can I do it again? So I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could write the core of these songs like I did, you know. And then when I got together with the band, of course, I did the arrangements. All right, well, here's the structure, here's the chorus, here's the verse. and then we worked the parts out. So my band was very involved in the recording, but as far as the putting the song together, it was important for me to go back because I didn't have any help in the beginning, and I wanted to see if I could still do it. And I think I did it.
You did, but that makes a lot more sense now. Yeah, because I'm reading it thinking
Yeah.
like, what does it mean he did it entirely by himself? Does he normally get guest writers for him?
No, I think I don't know. It's just a short way they shorten what I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like my band's very important, a live thing. I think when you see the band, you see it live, it doesn't come off where it's just, oh, it's a band. I've
Mm.
always liked that vibe. I like all my favorite things are bands. Motley Crue, Twisted Sister, Wasp. That was something I may have looked at the front guy because that's what I wanted to be, but I liked it as a band. I like it to come off that way. But yeah, like I said, it was literally just me trying to go back to what I did 20 years ago and see if I could still pull it off by myself.
Well, you fucking nailed it, brother. You fucking nailed it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No, well, so the big difference, mate, like since we've spoken a few times now, but since I spoke to you last time to now, I've introduced a section called Photobomb, where basically I've
Yeah.
trolled through your social media before we talk, and I've come up with a couple
Okay.
of photos that I want to know a bit more about. So
Okay.
I've got this one first.
Okay.
That's your
Oh,
first
yeah,
ever
yeah.
trip to Japan, eh?
Yeah, this would be August 2002. Murderdolls' first trip to Japan, and we were playing a thing called Summer Sonic, and that was my first trip to Japan. And we played on the main stage. Guns N' Roses was the headliner, so it was literally my first time. I mean, we did a couple of club shows in America, and the first big show with Murderdolls 2 weeks into it was that festival. Now, I was so excited because Hanoi Rocks was on it, and that was their first show back as a band. And I wore their T-shirt till it fell off of me. I wore it so much in high school, and to be able to be on a bill with them or get to meet them, I was so excited. And I was probably more excited to meet them than I was to play the show. And I immediately ran over and struck up a conversation with Michael Monroe, and I've been friends with him ever since then. And Andy McCoy too. I have so many stories. I could keep you on the air for hours telling you of the experiences I've had with Hanoi. From then, I did Hanoi Rock's farewell tour in Japan in 2009 as Wednesday 13, and then I did Michael Monroe. He played with Wednesday 13 in 2011, so it's a big history with him. He's such a huge influence on what I do. I think he is by far one of the greatest frontmen and he still is. He puts me to shame. I only hope one day to get as good as him. I learned from that guy.
That's insane, mate. Now, this next one, it might just look like a statue to most people, but there's a hell of a story behind it, mate. Can you run us through it?
Yeah, that was Murderdolls' first big award. That was for Metal Hammer magazine, UK. We won Best Newcomer of the Year, and that was the first time winning an award and walking up to a podium to give a speech. And I don't think I talked. I think Joey did all the talking. And after we received that award, we only got one of the awards. So to split it up between 5 dudes, we knew that wasn't going to happen. And I would be all right. Well, Joey would get the award, is what we thought. And then we ended up giving that award to our publicist Michelle, who broke the band in the UK. She worked so hard, and she got us in all the magazines, and she became like a sister to me over the years. And she passed away last year. And when I went to the UK on this last tour, a friend of hers came out to the show and brought me that award that we had given to her 20 years ago. And so now I have that award back. So it's just it even means a little more now because it was given to her and now I've got it back in my possession. So that was a really, it's got twice the meaning of it now.
You're just giving me fucking goosebumps, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you.
I'm going to say, well, thanks for your time, bro. Pleasure as always. The album Mid-Death Crisis is out April 25th, and I've been a long time Wednesday 13 fan, and this is already my favorite album, bro. So well done. Fucking get on.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. I know you've been listening for a while, and I can just tell. Like I said, when you said, "Am I confident about this?" I went, "It's because the guys like you." When I see yours, I don't know, and I'm like, I think they're gonna like it, but I can tell. So thank you. It means a lot.